What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode number 14 of the Nati Pod. I'm your host, Ryan Townsend. Thanks again for joining me today. Looking to recap the Washington football team versus the Bengals yesterday. Bengals suffered a 29 loss at FedEx Field. Sadly, that's not the only thing they lost. Joe Burrow is done for the year with most likely an ACL injury. Prayers go out to him. One of the more saddening days as a Bengals fan I've had. I was really sad to see him go down yesterday and not really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season unfolds here. But we got to talk about it and we got to get through it. So join me today on the pod to recap here and see what we got going forward in the season. Former Urbana University teammate of mine, Marcel Toney, born and raised in Cincinnati, huge Bengals fan, huge Reds fan. Marcel, thanks for coming on the show today, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tony.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to our talk, man. Let's get right into it. So Marcel, yesterday obviously suffered 29 loss to Washington. Give me your overall feelings, just how the game went, how the first half was, how the second half was, how it felt after Joe Burrow came out. How are you feeling yesterday for the game?
All right, so I don't know why. I felt the Bengals should have dominated in every part of that game. So seeing the opening drive, I was kind of like, all right, this isn't a good start. I just felt on paper the Bengals were the better team. And I don't know why I just expected them to perform better. I thought maybe they'd throw out a trick play here and there. I mean, you really don't have anything to lose at this point, 2-win team. Go out there, give them all you got. But I didn't see that. And that's a major issue I have with the offense, the way it's being ran. Is just it's stagnant. It's the same thing week in and week out, And you have Joe Burrow, very capable. Even though he's a rookie, he's a very capable quarterback. And you just saw once he went down with an injury, how bad the team is. I mean, that's no disrespect to Ryan Finley, but you could just see how important Joe is to the offense, how well he carries the offense, like I said, especially as a rookie. And it's just, like you said, I'm not looking forward to the rest of the season, Tony.
Dude, I mean, it's the thing that gets me with the rest of the season is like Bengals fans didn't anticipate this season being a good one. Like we talked about in my last podcast with Jake Wisman, like if we made the playoffs, that would have been awesome. But we're not anticipating the playoffs. We just came off a 2-win season. We got our franchise quarterback. We're just looking to see how he develops. And now with the injury, it's almost like you almost really can't judge anything now. And you really don't have a lot to look forward to. Like maybe just like, the team morale and how it does the rest of the season. But like not having your franchise quarterback is going to hurt you for the next 6 games. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. And like you said, the morale is really all you have to look forward to. And I think that's going to be a direct reflection of the coaching. I mean, it's no secret. We've played on some bad teams. I have. It's easy to get down, especially once your star player gets down. It's just hard to pick it up. So I think if Zach Taylor and the coaching staff can keep this team morale high or at least above floats or above water, so to speak, we have a chance against the Giants. But after that, man, I don't know, Tony.
Yeah, it's gonna after the Giants, and I'd probably say after the Dolphins game. I don't know how the Dolphins game is gonna go, but we've got the Cowboys, we've got the Texans, we have the Steelers and Ravens once each time. So not looking forward to those 2 games, but hopefully if the morale's high, they can be competitive. We can just see what we got going from there. So picking it up into the first question here, we got to talk about it. And I hate playing the blame game. I really do. I'm not one of those guys to blame other people, make excuses. That's just not how I am as a person. But seeing Joe Burrow go down yesterday, it just really got me fired up. It got me angry. If you follow me on Twitter, it was a wake-up call to Mike Brown and the entire front office. Like, you have to protect your franchise. But yesterday, I also think that it was a freak play. But in the same sense, he leads the league, or second in the league, leads the league or second in the league, I can't remember, in quarterback hits that he's taken this year and sacks. So, Marcel, in your opinion, if you have to put this on someone, who are you putting Joe Burrow's injury on? Are you putting it on the freak play? Are you putting it on the front office? Are you putting it on Zach Taylor and the wanting to pass so much in his play call? Like, who is to blame for Joe Burrow's injury?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. Yes, it was a freak play. Football is a physical sport. Injuries happen. I don't think it's fair to put all the blame on the offensive line. I mean, yes, they've struggled tremendously this year, Tony. But I got to put the blame – if I'm putting blame on anybody, it's got to be the front office. I mean, Joe Burrow is our franchise quarterback, face of the franchise. That man should be protected like Fort Knox. I mean, it's just unexcusable. I understand you want to develop your young players and put trust in your coaches and trust in your players, but with a franchise quarterback in the position we're in Cincinnati, you can't risk that. I mean, he should have been the face of the franchise. And I'm not saying he won't come back. I'm hoping he comes back. I'm hoping it's just an ACL injury. But, man, I mean, if you could have just kept him healthy, and like you said, you could just see how he's building and building and building. That's what you want. But now it's almost like you have to take a step back for next year. So I'm not even worried about this year because, like you said, we weren't going to make the playoffs. Next year is what I'm worried about because I don't want to repeat the 2-win season this year. He was on such a fast track too, and I mean, nobody in the city of Cincinnati believed in this offensive line. Nobody was happy with the way they performed outside of, what was it, one game where he didn't get sacked?
Yep.
I mean, that's just crazy. And, yeah, Zach Taylor loves to pass. I think, was it when they played Cleveland, and he passed like almost 60 times or something like that?
Yeah,
Something
week
ridiculous.
week two, he passed 61 times.
That is crazy, and I don't know. Like I said, it's a combination of things. If my mom, I love you, Mom, I'm sure you're going to watch this, can look at the TV and say, man, this O-line is bad, and she does not have football IQ, I think it should be just a obvious wake-up call for the front office and say, hey, we need help. Like,
Dude, I mean, the thing that gets me is, so Zach Taylor came out on his post-game press conference yesterday. Paul Dehner Jr., the Athletic, asked him, he's like, could you have done more to protect Joe Burrow? And his response was kind of interesting. What he said is that, yes, the O-line struggled at the beginning of the year, and we all saw that. The last couple of weeks, they had kept Burrow clean for the most part. The Steelers only gave up 4 sacks. Titans gave up 0. Browns, I think, gave up like 2. Like, they had kept Joe Burrow protected enough to where, if you go back and look at it, they were the number 2 offense in the NFL during that time. And he said, we're not going to apologize for any of that, which, I don't think you should apologize because your guys are progressing, okay? They're starting to get better, and they're starting to understand the schemes you're putting in front of them. But here's the issue that I have. You're drafting Joe Burrow number 1 overall. You've known it. Like, I don't know when you made the decision, but you've known it. Obviously, you knew it beforehand, like maybe in February when you started signing these free agents. DJ Reader, Josh Vines, Von Bell. You could name off all these dudes. But the one thing that you did not get is linemen. I mean, let's think about it here. Xavier Su'a-Filo, backup guard for the Dallas Cowboys. You went and got a reserve guard, and you thought that was going to be enough with the offensive line. Yes, you had Jonah. I'm completely cool with Jonah. He graded a 76 yesterday going up against Chase Young. I'm cool with Jonah Williams. But, that Bobby Hart is suspect at right tackle. Like, you understand that. And you understand Jordan's in his second year. Yes, you want him to progress, but he's not doing that well. Yesterday, he graded a 23.5.
yeah, that's bad.
And you bring Quentin Spain in from Buffalo, who has started 3 games in 3 different positions. He has played well in whatever position you've put him in. But until you address up front in the trenches, and until you protect Joe Burrow, I really don't think there's much else to blame but you guys in the front office. Like, how do they tell your fan base, and how do you tell your franchise quarterback, hey, you have to throw the ball 61 times, and we're going to throw the quit game on you because we can't protect you? What message does that send to your franchise and Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell you. Bad, Tony. I'm my bad.
No, go ahead.
No, I've always been told games are won and lost in the trenches. And you're seeing that with the Bengals right now. You're seeing that firsthand, not even with just the passing. Joe Mixon was hitting the backfield so many times before it was just, oh, man. That's another thing we're missing too is Joe Mixon.
Yeah. I mean, but seeing that now, here's the thing with Joe Mixon too. Like, does he even want to come back now, seeing that Joe Burrow's not here? Like, are him and Joe just going to be chilling on IR for the rest of the year? Like, I don't know. Like,
I bet they will, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you can't risk anything else at the rest of the year. But, you have at some point, if you're in the front office, you have to buckle down. You got to go get someone in free agency. Right now, we're slated as a top 3 pick. You've got to go get an offensive lineman, something to bulk up the offensive line and get something going.
Yeah.
So, but I'll get off my rant right there on the offensive line. That'll take up way too much of the podcast. So, moving on to the next question here. Sort of pertains to the offense still a little bit, and Joe Burrow's back up here, Ryan Finley. 2019, we drafted him 4th. I think we actually traded up to get him in the 4th round. Mobile quarterback, played at NC State. I had high hopes for him. Not saying he was going to play last year, but when he did play last year, just wanted to see what he had. From what I've seen from Ryan Finley in just the 3.5 games he's played, unless something drastically changes in the next 6, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's a backup quarterback, point blank, period. So the question comes to this. Joe Burrow is going to be your quarterback for the next 15 years. The Bengals are going to get better, I believe. If we're in the middle of a potential playoff run, and let's say another freak accident happens, Joe Burrow goes down again, Ryan Finley has to come in and keep the playoff run alive. Personally, as a Bengals fan, I don't trust that. Like yesterday, we texted about it. The morale was literally like, oh boy, here we go. 6 more losses with Ryan Finley. So does the question come up for the Bengals that do you need to go get, I wouldn't say a good backup quarterback, but like a solid or veteran backup quarterback that if you're in the middle of a run and your guy goes down, you still can fight off the end of the season?
Oh, without a doubt. And this is no disrespect to Ryan Finley, but as my boy Justin Drennan, JD would say, you either got it or you don't. He does not have it as an NFL quarterback. I believe he was 3 of 10 with the interception yesterday or something like that. I mean, like you said, I had high hopes for him. Like I obviously didn't think he was going to be a franchise quarterback, but I thought he'd be a solid, reliable backup option. Haven't seen that yet. Like you said, if Joe Burrow goes down again, it's over. I mean, he cannot carry this offense. I don't think he looks confident in the huddle. And as a quarterback, you need confidence. You got to fake it till you make it if you don't believe in yourself because you have all 10 other guys looking at you. And if your eyes say, I'm scared right now, what is that telling your other players? You kind of have here we go again. And it almost made me think of when Dalton broke his thumb, I believe, against the Steelers, and we had A.J. McCarron. I felt so confident in A.J. McCarron right there. And that's what we need as a backup we can be confident in.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I mean, A.J. McCarron almost took us to a playoff win. And the Browns at the trade deadline that year, the Browns tried to get A.J. McCarron, and their front office guy didn't put it through. That's what you need is a solid backup quarterback. But, the thing with Finley, yes, he's got 6 games. I think he's going to improve. I don't know if it's enough to win one of those 6 games or maybe 1 or 2 against an easier opponent. But, you're telling your players and you're telling your fan base, this is the guy you have. And when we talk about confidence, dude, Ryan Finley had 0 confidence yesterday. He's throwing ducks to guys. He's not even getting the ball there, Marcel. How are your receivers and how are your players supposed to react to a dude who can't even get the ball to his receivers? He holds on to the ball too long. And really the only thing he's really capable of is running. How do you get that across to your team?
Yeah, that's where I think you're going to lose the team. That's why I'm so worried about the morale. Because I know A.J. Green was frustrated with his role early on with Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, like I said, like I've been saying, capable quarterback, doesn't play like a rookie. You have Ryan Finley out there, not nearly as capable, very inexperienced, plays like a rookie. And you're kind of like, oh, man. So A.J. is going to be unhappy because the ball's not even getting to him. You can target him. But Finley's been, like you said, throwing ducks. He just doesn't look confident out there. Now you got to try to get T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Yeah, they're great receivers and they make spectacular plays. But you got to give them an easy one every once in a while. Give them a break. You know what I mean? Hit them in stride. Don't. Yeah. And that's just, I don't know, man, Tony. It's getting me fired up thinking about it.
Dude, I mean, hey, your feeling is the same as mine, man. I mean, it's gonna be tough watching these next 6 games, but like I was talking to one of my former high school coaches this morning on the phone. He's gonna improve throughout practice, but we just have to hope that the scheme is now built around him. Obviously, the scheme was built around Joe Burrow and passing a ton. Now the scheme has to be built around Ryan Finley, almost saying, all right, we got to do some dump downs here. We got to put some screens together, some tosses, because they can see he does not have the arm capable of doing it. So I'm hoping they can get it figured out this week. Easier opponent, the Giants. I like the Giants. They're a well-coached team and Joe Judge, but I'm just happy he's not playing the Steelers or playing the Ravens right after this week. Just an easier game to get into the rhythm for the final 6.
Piggyback off that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
That's why, my dad, he's a Browns fan, but he's also a Cowboys fan. He was very pleased with the Cowboys taking Andy Dalton because he always said if Dak goes down, he has a very capable quarterback behind him. And I think we're going to see that with the Cowboys now.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it yesterday. He handled the Vikings. I mean, Vikings are an okay team. Don't get me wrong, but Dalton let them down the field, let them score. Now they got a chance at winning the NFC East. So just one of those things that we're missing as a team as well. So, all right, to question number 3 here. It's a little bit of a tough one, I would say. Heard it yesterday on a couple podcasts, heard it on a couple radio shows. So people have questioned whether Zach Taylor is the guy moving forward. People have questioned whether Lou Anarumo is the guy moving forward. With Ryan Finley at the helm now, some people almost call it a mulligan for these final 6 games. Like, you can't judge what Zach Taylor does with these final 6 games at Ryan Finley at quarterback. Now, if we went 2-13 and had Joe Burrow at quarterback, that's the underlying, hey, Zach Taylor's got to go. You've got Joe Burrow. You've got the weapons. He's got to go. So, Marcel, in your opinion, if you're a front office guy for the Cincinnati Bengals, in these final 6 games, how do you judge the players? How do you judge the coaching staff? And just overall, how are you going to judge this team moving forward with the offseason moves that you potentially have to make?
Right. Well, I don't think you can judge it on the win-loss record for these next 6 games, but you can judge it on schemes, execution, and player development. I think those are the 3 keys right there. Because, yeah, we know Ryan Finley probably not going to lead us to maybe one win, maybe not. But if you see players developing, you see him develop, and then you see a good game plan and it's well executed, and you say, okay, we fell short this week. You got to think, okay, Zach Taylor implemented this and that, and it worked, So if we have a capable quarterback, we're probably going to win this game, make a few more passes here, stuff like that, better decisions. So, I think that's how the front office has to judge going forward. And if you're seeing mental mistakes on players, I mean, they have to be held to the highest standard. Just because the season's over, they still have to be held to a high standard. And they're
Right.
professional athletes, So I hate stupid mistakes. I hate false starts. I hate, holding. I mean, obviously, NFL, they hold every play. But, like, the blatant holds, I mean, I think that's unacceptable, stuff like that. So as the front office, you're looking to see who's still trying their hard, like, not to say trying the hardest, but who's still executing at a high level at this point. Because in my organization, if I was running it, if you're just put your star quarterbacks down, you think, okay, well, this season's over, and you're going to go out there and half-heartedly try, you got to go. Like, I want to build a nice culture, and I think that's another thing that you're looking for is the culture of this team.
Yeah, I think when we talk about like overall just judging the last 6 games of the season, I completely agree. We're talking about scheme, player development, and execution. I love all 3 of those things. So when we talk about it, though, the big question mark I have is, so if you see like the positive morale go up, if you see the positive in the offense and you see the positive in the defense, like, are you bringing back all these coaches for another year? Like, basically when I called it a mulligan, like Lou Anarumo, we've seen, has had his ups and downs as a defensive coordinator. Zach has had his bright spots as an offensive coordinator. Like, so throughout the season, if you see that stuff, like, you're not going to take anyone away. You're not kicking anyone out of the building. You're going to keep all those guys in, right?
Yeah, you have to. Especially, like, as much as I hate to say it, you have to keep Zach for at least another year, just because we don't have Joe Burrow. As far as the defense goes, though, it's getting better. It was very shaky at points this season, and I think if he starts out next year and it's still shaky, it might be time to cut ties. But I'd bring him back for another year too.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, the big thing we always talk about, I talked about it last podcast, is the injury bug. I mean, DJ Reader's been out. Trey Waynes hasn't even stepped on the field for us. $41 million corner that we signed. Sam Hubbard was out for a little bit. Geno Atkins was out for a little bit. We know the Carlos spiel and all that stuff, but I think I agree with you in the sense that these guys almost get a mulligan, and like, unless the wheels absolutely
Yeah.
fall off and you can see a decline, like, they have to come back for another year, which hopefully, if you see that development, you see that scheme, and you see the execution, should be a positive end to the season. Maybe not in the win-loss column like you're talking about,
It
but
should give Bengals fans hope for sure.
yeah, if we can just get some positive momentum going into the next season, having a high draft pick, signing free agents, I think it's going to be good for us.
I
So
agree.
I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping. So final question here in the pod. We got to look ahead to the Giants next week. They come to Cincinnati, 1 p.m. start. They are now 3-7, I believe, either a half game out of the East or they're tied for first right now in the East. So, Marcel, what have you seen from the Giants football team this year, and what do the Bengals really need to focus on to try and come out with a win in next week's contest against the Giants?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I have not been impressed with anybody in that conference the Giants are in, but really, as long as the Bengals play smart football, I think they handle business. Because literally, if you watch the Giants, for me personally, nothing stands out. I think they are a very below average team in all facets of the game. They don't really do anything. They're well coached. I'll give them that. They are very
Hmm.
well, but I don't think they have that big play making ability. You know, what I mean, if they're gonna win, they're gonna sustain drives. They might get a big play here and there, but I think the only way the Bengals lose, from a defensive standpoint anyway, is stupid penalties, pass interference, offsides, roughing the passer, stuff like that. Because I don't think the offense that the Giants have should be able to really move the ball on us. I mean,
No.
now our defense, like I said, is not great by any means, but that's just how unimpressed I am with the Giants. Now, as far as the offense goes, throw the kitchen sink at them. You have nothing to lose. Grayson was over there at Rutgers giving everybody a run for their money with trick plays, stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying the Bengals need to run 3 trick plays, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a trick play here and there because I think that would be something that could spark the morale and keep it high too. Just you have nothing to lose. Expect the unexpected at this point, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. My dad and I have really talked about that. Like, he's not a fan of Zach Taylor's offensive scheme, but like you're talking about, if we open up the playbook in these last 6 games, we get some trick play going, we get some different schemes going. Like, you're right, that's going to bring the morale of the team. And I also think that's going to open up the playbook next year for Joe Burrow. If he sees these plays are running, obviously when he's sitting on his couch watching the game, resting up, healing up, not going to move. But
Right.
when he's watching these games, he's going to be like, oh, Zach, we need to run these plays next year. Like, these plays are going to be good. Like, can this help the Bengals with the offensive scheme moving forward?
I think it can. I like you said, it should give them hope. Like especially if Joe Burrow's saying these different plays. Zach Taylor's called a stale offense all year long. If you start expanding everything and you start seeing, oh, a little trick play here and there works, or you start running like a little more screen, like get a little bit more creative with screen passes and stuff like that, and you start seeing, okay, well, we found a hole in the defense here and there. Oh, this works really well for us. Oh, we can hit Geo with this little wheel route right there. Let him get in space. Let him work. Okay, that's nice. Okay, our offense isn't nearly as bad as we thought it was, you know? And yeah, it's gonna put more pressure on Joe with the screen and everything like that. But he's capable, and like you said, that should give him hope. That should make him excited.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. I mean, hopefully Zach Taylor and company can pick something up and we can get something going here in the last half of the season. But just, hey, keep the morale high, Bengals fans. I know it's going to be a struggle for these last 6 games, man. I know you're not looking forward to them. You know, if you don't want to tune in, that's fine. You know, check the box scores, listen on the radio. Dan Horde, Dave Lapham do a great job on the radio broadcast. I love those guys. Okay, even if you don't want to watch the game, but just keep the morale high. Okay, Joe Burrow's going to come back. He's going to come back stronger. He tweeted yesterday, "Can't get rid of me that easy. We'll see you next year." So I'm looking forward to Joe Burrow's return, and I'm looking forward to the future of the Bengals franchise. So I'm looking forward to it, man. We got 6 more games to get through, talk about the offseason, we'll get rolling from there. So, all right, man, that's going to do it for us today on the Nasty Natty Pod. Marcel, I want to thank you again so much for coming out today. We had a fantastic talk, man. Enjoyed talking some Bengals with you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tony. Anytime. I love it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Great talk today with my guy, Marcel. Tune in for more content this week. We're going to bring a preview article out for the Giants game. Post-pod next week, my brother joins the show to recap the Giants and Bengals game. Keep the morale high, Bengals fans. We're gonna be on the come up these next few years. So keep it with us and keep it locked in. Thanks, guys, again. Who day?